19, 2025, Commissioners Ronald Palladino, Commissioner Tony Lopez, and Commissioner Fran Collier Clemens are present. The mayor is on his way. The meeting is now called to order. And our first item of business is public participation. I'm trying to pull up my.
I'll share the screen here. 1 second. So yes, the first item, Commissioner Collier Clemens, is public participation.
Okay, I believe there is a letter submitted by Diane Cece on behalf of the East Norwalk Community Association,
That's correct.
and has each commissioner received this in their packet?
Yes, I have.
I have,
Okay.
Commissioner.
I'll read it into the meeting. It's dated May the 14th to Jim Travers, Transportation. It's a request for discussion item number 5 that we will be discussing today. Good afternoon, Jim. I trust that transportation, mobility, parking, and public works staff, along with the police department, are well aware of the traffic issues East Norwalk proper has been experiencing for several years now, and the increased infrastructure activity, congestion, gridlock, and aggressive driving this year. Most of this is obviously related to the Walk Bridge project and related utility work, and some due to an increase in traffic in general post-COVID. But with summer, beach and park season fast approaching, residents here frustrated with the situation and obviously concerned it will get worse before it improves. It seems just as one segment of a local and/or state project reopens, we are faced with the next closure and detours. And lately, it appears to many East Norwalk residents who are thoroughly familiar with our roads that the signals are poorly timed again, contributing to congestion, gridlock, and an increase in observed traffic violations, including aggressive driving. It is the Wild West, and we don't want it to take a tragedy here to see some action on the part of the city. East Norwalk Neighborhood Association is requesting a discussion item on this topic be added to both the Traffic Authority and Police Commission agendas for this Monday, May 19th. We want to request an ad hoc task force of city officials and stakeholders to be formed to examine this issue, identity and access possible short and long-term remedies, and provide some assurance to residents that their concerns are being heard and addressed. In particular, it would be helpful for the result to be some actionable and measurable steps to ensure that all operations and enforcement departments are actively working closely with Walk Bridge project team to mitigate detours and gridlock, improving advanced detour signage, including electronic, especially for Strawberry Hill closure, recommending alternatives that will reduce future traffic issues as projects continue, preparing now for beach and concert traffic, and assigning community policing staff to ensure smooth traffic flow to and from the beach, especially at Winfield, East, and Fort Point, remeasuring level of service at all major intersections, including St. John Street, monitoring and adjusting traffic lights to improve volume through put and flow. This state DOT needs to assess the number of cars being cleared from exit 16 northbound exit, assigning additional traffic patrol units to the center of 06855 zip code from Cemetery and Gregory to the highway, and designating specific points that are not optimal vantage points for observation, but would allow for safely pulling over and ticketing, providing enforcement for all infractions, speeding, rolling through stop signs, lane changes without signaling, ignoring, don't block the box, especially at exit 16, failure to turn in turn only lanes through those some recent enforcement at East End Winfield proved helpful, distracted driving, temporarily or permanently prohibiting left turns onto East Avenue from both Duncan and the former Hojo lots, providing ENNA with previously requested post-installation reports on traffic accidents at Olmsted, don't block the box area, and updated LOS at both lights at exit 16, providing the required post-occupancy traffic audit for 230 East Avenue Bremen Crown development, installing the planned traffic signal at East and Fort Point as soon as possible, even if it means adjusting or reinstalling following the roadway reconstruction. The above list is by no means comprehensive, and ENNA is not suggesting everything can be done immediately, but we do believe these and other improvements that a task force may suggest are certainly reasonable, feasible, and likely at little or no additional cost. Please confirm that ENNA can have 5 to 10 minutes at each of the 2 meetings on Monday. Thanks in advance. Is there anyone to speak on this? Hello? Okay, that has been placed into our minutes, and we will be discussing it later as it comes up in the agenda. The next item on our agenda is
Just hold on 1 second, Commissioner. If anybody would like to speak, can you please raise your hand electronically if you don't have an item on the agenda? Okay, I think we're good.
thank you. All right. I think the next item, this is approve the traffic authority meeting minutes from April the 21st. I need a motion.
So move, Commissioner.
Okay, it has been moved by Commissioner Lopez for discussion. Are there any corrections, omissions?
I have none.
I have none, Commissioner.
All right, the minutes will be approved as submitted. All in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the ayes have it. The next item is for discussion will be approved the proposed use of sidewalk along Seaview Avenue and usage of police control. I need a motion to discuss that.
I move that forward, the approved, or to approve the proposed use of sidewalks along Seaview Avenue.
Okay, Commissioner Palladino has moved item A for discussion. The traffic staff who will be speaking to this today.
That will
Benjamin?
be me. Thank you,
Okay,
Commissioner
thank
Collier
you.
Clemens. First of all, we may or may not have someone from the organization running the Triangle Community Center. If you do, or if you are present, please raise your hand electronically, and we can elevate you as well. So the Pride in the Park event is
Excuse me, I think I see a hand raised, Rachel Simon.
great. Thank you, Rachel.
Hi.
So Rachel, I can lead off, and if there's any details that I'm unclear of, you can help support what I'm saying here. So I'm going to be going off the details from the special event permit application for Pride in the Park. So this is one of Connecticut's largest and best attended LGBTQ plus Pride events, hosting more than 10,000 people in a day. So this is planned for June 14th, 2025. I believe that is a Saturday in June. So the traffic impacts from this event, which will be held at Vets Park, are minimal. There's no road closures that are necessary. However, police control will be necessary at the entrances and exits to Vets Park for the event. There's also going to be some advanced warning signs, some of those variable message signs that light up with messages that are going to be placed near the events to alert motorists ahead of time that the event is coming or is in operation. So, Rachel, is there anything that you'd like to add or that I missed?
No, I think we've got an agreement with the police to control the traffic. And we're just doing the same things we did last year where we make the traffic through the park one way and give folks an opportunity to turn around if they pull in the wrong way.
Any questions from the commissioners?
No, this was done last year as she indicated, so there are no changes, correct? Everything is gonna be identical is the point?
I believe so. Is that correct, Rachel?
I mean, we're gonna have some extra volunteers at those
Like, for
entrances.
example, specifically, I'm sorry for interrupting. Like, for example, I'm just quickly reading, will alcohol be served? That was served last year. You're still gonna have the same
Correct.
parameter, the same restrictions, for example, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Commissioner Palladino, do you have any questions?
If this is a repeat of last year and everything went without a problem last year, then I'm good with it for this year. Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, Chief, did we have any feedback from problems of manning and directing traffic and on-site participants last year? Chief,
No,
okay.
no, we didn't. I couldn't get my cursor to move.
Oh, okay.
No,
Okay.
we did not. It's the plan is fine from last year. I'll move forward.
Okay, and everything is been talked over with you and is correct and in order
Yes, we
for this year.
yes, and I know they already called roll call and arranging for the officers for the event. Extra work.
Okay, if there are no other questions or discussion on this, I need to ask all in favor of approving Pride in the Park. Let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it, and it is approved. Our next item for business is Rowayton fireworks. I need a motion to discuss that.
I move section 5, item D, approve proposed exit route for Rowayton fireworks.
It's been moved by Commissioner Lopez for discussion of item B. And the staff member speaking for this event or the organizer?
So the event organizer is actually present. So I'll hand it off to Jeff Ortolano, if we could elevate him to speaking privileges.
Hello, test.
Yes, we can hear you, Jeff.
Great. Commissioners and Chief, thank you very much. Appreciate your service and taking the time to review our application late this afternoon. July 4th is an historic event that the Rowayton Civic Association, in concert with the 6 taxing districts, hosts at Bailey Beach. We have addressed in our viewpoints some significant gaps in how the event has traditionally been supported over the last prior years. So this year, we've built a plan and we're collaborating very diligently with the Rowayton Fire Department, Norwalk Police, and the 6th Taxing District to put a lot of guardrails in place to do the following. First off, we want to maintain and manage public safety. So we'll be shutting down the Bailey Beach parking lot at a very early hour. That has not historically been done. So this year we're shutting down the parking lot at approximately 4 p.m., which will, what we view, will alleviate a lot of the surge that typically happens in the latter part of the afternoon and early evening before the fireworks. Secondly, road closures. We're working in concert with Norwalk Police. We had a meeting with the chief and his team last week to go over a very specific detailed plan on very targeted road closures and emergency pass-through closures as well. So we feel right now we're building the right infrastructure to create a perimeter around Bailey Beach that will have road closures, no parking zones, and that will help alleviate a lot of the congestion that we faced last year during the exit of the fireworks. So we have two different ways in terms of entering and exiting when the show is over. And then lastly, just in terms of how we're supporting the event, we're hiring third-party security to help us maintain crowd control inside of Bailey Beach. We still have EMS present, working with Norwalk Police to ensure that the external perimeters will have the typical traffic patterns that we're submitting tonight. And then the last thing, which we're taking very seriously, is just cleanup. If you saw Bailey Beach last summer at July 5th, it was not a pretty sight. So we're actually hiring third-party cleaning service to come in that evening to clean up the surrounding communities and the beach. I'll pause.
All right, commissioners, are there any questions of Mr. Ortolano at this time? Could you, thank you for making that larger. Are there any questions at this time on this?
Commissioner Carter
Application.
Clemens, I have a question for the chief, if he can let us know his level of satisfaction with the changes and how it went last year in anticipation of how it is expected now to go this year.
Well, this would be the first year. I'm expecting a much better results from previous years. Part of the things that we stressed in the meeting last week with their Jeff and his team was trying to minimize or eliminate the commingling of pedestrians and vehicular traffic exiting the fireworks, which is late at night. So that's our number one priority. And I think he developed a good plan of closing it at a certain time and then allowing the pedestrians out first and then the vehicles. And I think this is a solid plan for this year. We could always evaluate it on July 5th or July 6th and make some changes for next year, but I think this is an improvement from previous years.
Thank you, Chief.
The road closures, are they what is outlined in the blue box?
Yeah, there's an accompanying maps that we've shared with Norwalk PD. There's very specific road closures and targeted egress areas in our communities surrounding the beach associations. So correct. There's an assignment of attachments that we're reviewing with the police department to ensure that there's no gaps in our coverage.
Do we have a copy of that map?
I believe
Benjamin or Garrett?
I believe it was uploaded. I wasn't the individual that submitted the application, but I'm pretty confident that that map was uploaded. If it's not, I'll make sure it is.
Okay, because we might have some more questions if we could see the map. I mean, I think it's written well, and we can use our
validate?
imagination.
Yeah, can we validate it wasn't uploaded? I'm not sure.
TMP staff does not have that attachment at this time.
Okay.
Jeff, if you're able to bring it up now during the meeting, it would be helpful.
Yeah, it would be very helpful.
Yeah. 1 second.
While they're looking at that, uploading that, Chief, I'd just like to ask you and Mr. Ortolano, this third-party security, is there going to be a problem with who has the authority at the fireworks? Since it's a third party, is it going to be understood that the police will have the final authority if that's the way it's supposed to be?
Correct. The sixth taxing district were the governing body that recommended this third-party security company that they've used before.
I think they're just going to be using them as a force multiplier. But we will have a police presence within there. That was discussed with them, just in case something does happen. We have a point of communication inside the fireworks area.
Okay, so the security will be inside the fireworks area and the police office will be at the partial closed roads. Is that correct?
The police will be both. We're going to have a
Oh,
presence.
okay.
We're going to have a presence within the park for the fireworks, and we're going to have a more significant presence for the traffic control outside.
Okay. And you and the team are satisfied with this plan for now?
Yes.
I mean, as it's presented.
Yes.
Okay.
There,
Are we,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
go ahead, please.
I'm not seeing a button on Zoom that I typically do to share any collateral.
Darlene, is there a way to elevate Mr. Orlano to have screen sharing privileges?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I gotta promote him up. Give me 1 minute.
Okay.
Thank you. So everything highlighted in yellow is going to be no parking, and we have designated specific areas that we've circled. Obviously, this is a rendering. We're going to do a much better job in terms of depicting this as we get closer to the event. But as you can see here, road closures prior to fireworks display. So we see where each area will be patrolled. And then these are road closures after fireworks display. So there's going to be specific areas that we're also going to be moving the traffic pattern. There's a few anomalies here just for everyone's reference. There's 2 beach clubs. So we're in communication with both beach clubs to ensure that they're moving their traffic away from the perimeter of Bailey Beach, where 85% of the traffic will be coming out of. And then I'm sorry about this is again handwritten, but just gives you a bit more perspective on some of the excavation routes and things that we're working on. But yeah, we will make sure that this is uploaded, and we did share this with the Norwalk Police Department last week.
And would there be sufficient detour signage with regards to the closures?
From my perspective, from the RCA's perspective, yes, we're going to be working closely with Norwalk Police to ensure that we're in compliance with what that should look like. Correct.
Including the traffic authority, right? With regards to the detours. I mean, in other words, if a person sees something closed and there was no signage prior, there could be an issue there, right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
So go ahead, Commissioner Palladino.
Is this gonna come before the commission like normal road closures do, or this has already been set?
So
What-
TMP staff has not reviewed this particular set of road closure maps. It seems like Norwalk Police Department may have discussed this with them, but you know, I think with the events on July 4th, there is a potential that we could bring this before the commission one more time at next month's meeting.
And if the chief feels like that's not needed, and the rest of the commissioners concur, I'm good with that.
Not unless the board wants to adapt Mhm.
Tony, do you have any comments on Commissioner Paladino's suggestion?
The only suggestion that I could consider is subject to the traffic authority's review, consideration, that it doesn't obstruct, that the closing of these streets, are well planned and well, the signage is there to detour the traffic, and it's not gonna, create some bottleneck that we can't anticipate now.
Okay, that's a very good reason for TWP to see this map before we approve these closures. The police department is okay with it, but there has to be correct signage so that the people won't be confused. Also, are the residents in the area going to be apprised of these changes in the parking, the time, and the road closures before that day?
Yes, Commissioner. We are already actively communicating to all three homeowners associations and the local residents in each of these communities regarding potential road closures and alternative driving areas. Correct.
Okay, now before that communication is formally disseminated, make sure that it has been approved by the traffic TWP to make sure that the detour signs that are necessary will be available and according to their regulations, there's no problem.
Understood.
Okay,
So I have a question,
okay.
if I may, to Mr. Benjamin Young, staff. So is that something that that can be facilitated on behalf of the traffic authority to review this, just ensure and
Yeah.
avoid?
So yeah, essentially TMP staff would, on behalf of the traffic authority, review a clean version of these road closure maps when they're ready, and also the the public outreach letter informing residents of the new closures and no parking zones and all that. Mr. Ortolano, is that agreeable to you?
That's agreeable.
And then will there still be a need, Mr. Young, to have this come before the board, or is this something that could easily be, in other words, finalized, approved, and in other words, planned by the traffic authority?
I think we could conditionally approve it today. We're looking at the kind of higher level concept of a larger network of roads and closures, and then we could finalize the details with the RCA and with the police department well before July 4th.
Okay. And I realize this is on a Saturday, on a weekend, and late in the afternoon, but I'm not clear, and you might be able to better answer this, regarding commercial traffic, if there's any that might come through these areas. I don't know that for sure, in an effort to avoid 95. I don't know that. Does that happen?
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely possible, but the volumes would not be as high as they would be on a weekday, of course. And it does look like the state route 136. That's the thicker, bold blue line, Rowayton Ave, McKinley Street, and Highland Ave. Those remain open to through traffic. Correct, Mr. Ortolano?
That's correct. McKinley 136 and Highland headed north is going to be remaining open. That's New York State. Excuse me, Connecticut State.
Connecticut. Yeah. So the route that trucks are supposed to be taking, if they're going through Rowayton, remains open. I think during the event itself, local deliveries would be limited, but I think that that applies to all traffic, and it's going to be a Saturday night, a holiday night, so I think that's going to be pretty limited, if at all.
Thank you, Mr. Young.
Or is there Are there any other questions, commissioners? Police
I have none.
Department? Okay, well, I will entertain a motion to approve this application based upon our discussion of having a detailed map drawn by TNP, have it coordinated with the police department, and yeah, that's it.
I move section 5, item B, subject to approval and coordination with both the traffic authority and the police department on approving the proposed exit route for the row 18 fireworks.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. The item is approved. Our next item is item C. May I have a motion for discussion? Approve proposed full closure on North Main Street, Washington Street, and South Main Street for the Sono Arts Festival. I need a motion for us to discuss that.
I'll move section 5, item C, approve proposed full closure of North Main, Washington, and South Main Streets for the Sono Arts Festival.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Palladino. What staff, is that you, Benjamin, again?
We have the event lead, Sue,
Oh.
Miss Sue Brown Gordon, in the audience here.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right, Ms.
Yes,
Gordon.
good afternoon. You can lead the discussion on this event.
Certainly. Thank you so much for having me. I've been with this event on and off for almost 35 years, and it's been running very smoothly. We're not making any significant changes to the footprint or any of the closures from last year, which I think we'll all agree went very smoothly. No major changes. I'm going to meet with police to make sure that they're happy with everything and comply in any way to any of their recommendations. And I'm happy to answer any questions. While it is a big event, we've been doing it successfully for all these years. And unless you have, any suggestions, I think that we're going to continue the way we've been doing it. And we were very pleased with last year. And so I'm here to answer any questions or concerns that you might have.
All right, commissioners?
I have none. I mean, from the past years, we haven't had any incidents, issues, and as you said, it's nothing has changed. So I can't anticipate other than something I'm not aware of, but it looks good to me. So I have no questions.
I have none.
I have no questions. I just want to say that this is really a great event that we have in Norwalk annually. I have a picture that I bought when I went my very first time, and I enjoy looking at it every day. So I think that all is in order. Chief, are there any concerns that the police department has about this event?
No, Commissioner.
Okay, all right. I will entertain a motion for approval of item, my phone, I don't have I need the
5C.
item, yeah, item 5C, thank you.
Aye.
I need a motion to approve.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion to approve item 5C.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Let it be number
Aye.
aye. Aye, the ayes have it, and it is approved.
Thank
Good
you very
success this year.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much. And I just want to state that I'm a Norwalker. I've been here since 7th grade. It's an honor and a privilege to provide art for our town, and I'm grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is 5, item D, High and Night Street one-way conversion. I need a motion to discuss that.
I move section 5, item D, approve the one-way direction conversions of High Street and Knight Street.
All right, thank you. Mr. Young, would you
Yeah,
lead
so
us
this
into the
one,
discussion?
thank you, Commissioner Collier-Clemens. Actually, Mr. Garrett Balella from TMP will be leading the discussion on this one.
Okay,
Great, thank you, Ben, and good evening, commissioners. I just want to make sure you can hear me all right. My
Yes.
apologies, my video isn't working today. I just switched over laptops and having just some camera issues. But I'll ask that my team share the presentation. We provided a lot of information in the packet. I wanted to provide a high-level summary and overview, and then also be available to answer any questions that you might have. But the item that you see before you tonight is to approve the one-way direction conversions of High and Knight Street. I want to emphasize that both of these roadways today are already one-way. We're just simply providing a recommendation to the commission to convert High Street, which is one-way southbound or one-way southbound today, to one-way northbound in the future, between East Wall Street and then Route 1, and then also to convert Knight Street, which is one-way northbound today, to one-way southbound between 32 Knight Street, which is the new Hartford Healthcare building, and all the way down to East Wall Street. So this project largely originated to really address historical operation and safety challenges that we have on Wall Street, East Wall Street at the intersection of High and Knight. These are existing operational and safety challenges, and it's really crucial at a time when we're investing nearly $30 million into the entire Wall Street neighborhood, that we make these changes to accommodate the future neighborhood plans, which had a tremendous amount of input and feedback from the community. So I'll ask you to go to the next slide, Ben. And this slide really illustrates the issue that we have at hand. So the operational and safety concerns that I'm speaking to today are largely a product of two things. The first is that the roadways of High and Knight Street intersect at a point, essentially, in a very sharp angle. And this is something that, we are limited with our right-of-way, and we can't really rebuild the intersection configuration and change the alignment of these roadways. So what we did look at is the circulation, and today there's a counterclockwise circulation between High and Knight Street, with High Street being one-way southbound and Knight Street being one-way northbound. And it really exacerbates this issue, which you can see here in yellow, is people and drivers making illegal maneuvers, illegal contraflow maneuvers from High Street to Knight Street. So they're directly opposing cars coming down the hill from East Wall Street and traveling to the west. So this is a challenge that we've recognized and that we're looking to address with this potential roadway conversion. Additionally, you can see from this diagram just the way the roadways are aligned today. It's just the reason this illegal movement happens so frequently is that it's just very difficult for someone to come down High Street, cross the double yellow center line, immediately make a left turn, finding a gap in traffic, and then heading over to Knight Street. So the roadways just really weren't designed to accommodate this movement. And we've had these illegal movements happening for some time now. And we finally have an opportunity to fix it. So this is based on a number of observations we've done at this location as we designed the East Wall Street Improvement Project, which is currently under construction and is going to transform this block of roadways. We also did significant traffic counting programs. We looked at significant streetlight data to actually quantify the number of times this movement happens. And on a typical weekday for an 8-hour period, which largely captures the morning and the afternoon rush hours, we see this happening 117 times. And you really don't have to stand out there a long time to see someone make this movement. And we finally have a conduit and opportunity to address this. In advance of this meeting with your commission, we canvassed the entire neighborhood. We dropped off flyers to the businesses and residences, which detailed this proposed change. It included the map that you saw on the previous slide. and also invited all the residents and business owners to a public meeting. That public meeting was held on Monday, May 5th. Those in attendance were largely supportive of the project. And also they recognize the tremendous changes happening in the neighborhood and benefits as a result of the larger, broader Wall Street corridor improvement project taking place. Members of our team also met with concerned businesses on numerous occasions. They couldn't attend this meeting tonight, but we did meet them in the field. Our traffic engineer met with them. And because there's so much change that's happening out here, he actually marked the street and articulated how the East Wall Street neighborhood infrastructure project is really going to change this intersection in the future, and what it might look like to pull out from Knight Street when it changes direction from one-way northbound to one-way southbound. But really, if we could go on to the next slide, Ben. And this slide just shows the issue at hand that we're trying to resolve. You can see the vehicle that's traveling east at the very top of the picture by the lights in front of Ahi, and then you can see vehicles coming down the hill on East Wall Street. If you go to the next slide, it illustrates the future streetscape. So this is under construction right now. You can see that there's going to be a plaza that's going to be built in between these two intersections. And we want to be ahead of the issue of potentially traffic coming down High Street and trying to make this really difficult movement that exists today, but having to actually enter an opposing travel lane. So that's why it's really important that this project is done in concert with these improvements. And what we would look to do is at the same time that the infrastructure project's complete that's under construction right now, we would try to do the one-way roadway conversions at the same time to limit any impact to the neighborhood. But again, the reason we're here before you now is we have this funded East Wall Street project that's under construction. It's going to add this pedestrian island, which is going to prohibit this movement in the future. It's going to add a tremendous amount of traffic calming to the area. You can see a raised crosswalk in the center of this diagram and multiple curb extensions. So while for many years we couldn't switch the roadway configuration because maybe the sight lines coming out of Knight Street weren't adequate, because of all this new infrastructure that we're building right now, it makes that possible. It makes it safe. It creates lower speeds, and it'll create gaps for people and business owners to get out of Knight Street. Again, I want to reiterate, these infrastructures are what are making these roadway conversions possible, but this is really at its core a safety project. We've had the reason why we got this grant that you see in this beautiful project that you see in front of you is because ConnDOT recognized all the crashes that occurred on this very little section of roadway, and this is just one more thing we can do to help improve public safety. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, and I have Ben Young is here as well, and he worked a lot on this project.
Okay, commissioners, your questions?
Yes, I have a question, Mr. Bolello. So I think it's self-explanatory, and I think it's definitely an improvement. And my question may not pertain to what's at hand, which is the change in the directional, and it's really more of a suggestion. And again, that might be part of the whole project. That might not be relevant to this discussion, but that whole intersection, I don't know if there's other plans as well to mitigate the blocking, the traffic, especially with the change now in the direction. Again, that has nothing to do with what's before us that we have to approve, but just a thought.
No, and it's a really great point. And this is just one isolated intersections. I think certainly making these roadways, when you change the direction of the roadways, you can circulate the neighborhood by only making right turns from the roadways, whereas today you have to actually make a left from High Street onto East Wall Street, cross the WO center line, and go back over to Knight. And the same thing, if you're circulating these two roadways that really work together, you have to go north, take a left onto Route 1, and then another left to get back in the neighborhood. This proposal really simplifies that. You can drive these two roadways and make only right turns. So I think that's part of the solution. I hear you on some of the challenges with the lights and the queuing, and that's something that as part of the larger project, we're going to make investments into all the signals, and we're also looking at bringing technology that we've successfully employed in other parts of the city adaptive traffic signals, which measure demand in real time and make real-time adjustments. All of that is something that's going to be looked at in the broader design. I think this kind of just sets the table as far as the infrastructure, but I certainly hear you with regards to the lighting and the queuing. We're looking at this holistically.
Yeah, and I don't
as we
know, again,
continue.
a box might be even appropriate there. Again, the traffic blocking, traffic coming onto High Street or coming down 9th Street. So that, again, it's not before us, it's separate, but that whole intersection is, yeah, it's got to be loosened up and, a little more restricted, controlled.
We agree.
Commissioner
Thank you.
Palladino?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Collier Clemens. I actually looked at this pretty in depth on Google Maps, and it makes a lot of sense. I think it really needs to be done. And the only question I would have is, you said you talked to most of the business owners and most of them were in favor. Were there any that were not?
So I can tell you, so actually Ben had spoken with a number of the businesses. There were some with concerns on Knight Street. My understanding is generally there's support for the project, the pedestrian improvements. Change is always hard, and changing the direction of operations is just something that takes time to get used to. The primary concerns that we heard were related to the ability on Knight Street to egress and to turn onto Wall Street. And what this infrastructure project allows you to do is it basically brings the curb lines further into the street. It brings drivers further away from Knight Street and creates sight lines that just don't exist today because of the building. So it's hard to imagine today. I know Ben actually met with the property of the business owners and actually marked out on the street with some paint to show just how far the curb line is changing. And I don't know if you can go, Ben, to a couple slides down. If you go up one to the graphic that shows 20 feet, you can just see from this graphic the blue line. We're moving the curb 20 feet from where it is today. So that issue, while hard for some of the business owners to wrap their heads around, we met with them in the field, we walked it with them. They're worried about their vehicles being able to egress the street, right? Find the gap in traffic and turn safely. This is going to be a really low speed environment. You have the raised crosswalk, you have curb extensions, speeds are going to be slower coming down the hill. So not only is there better sight lines now, the speed of traffic is going to be much lower. So we believe we've addressed those concerns. The other major concern we heard from the businesses is just making sure that the curb radii, corners, and any parking modifications on the street are made to accommodate their vehicles now heading out the street southbound, which we think we've addressed with this design. And should there be any minor parking limitations that need to be occurred for a vehicle to pull out south into the street as opposed to where it used to go north, we're readily available to make those implement those parking restrictions in the future. But I think those were the two primary concerns that we heard from the businesses. And Ben, if I missed anything from your conversations with them, please feel free to add.
Yeah, no, that's the those are the main concerns.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Garrett, the parking, you said that the parking was not going to change. Now on Knight Street, there's parking on the left only going northbound. I tell you, that is tight. That's so tight to maneuver going up that street. And the driver exits safely onto the sidewalk. Now, with it being changed to a southbound, is the parking going to still be on I guess that would be the west side of the street?
Yeah, the proposal that's before you is to maintain the parking to continue to serve the businesses as it exists today.
Okay, but what I'm saying is the driver will now be exiting their car with the door opening into the southbound traffic. and they won't have that protection of the sidewalk there. Have you all thought about that?
Yes, one of the benefits to maintaining, so while it's one way northbound today, it will be one way southbound in the future. So you'll be able to you only have to look north to validate and verify that there's no vehicle coming down the street. We'll ensure that there's clear and adequate sight lines, and should any vehicles need additional turning radii, that's something that we will look at as we look at this implementation, which would coincide with the end of the project. And I should have probably mentioned when this project would be implemented. It would be, we're anticipating actually implementing this at the end of the year as we work through finalizing the plans. in the
That's like,
signage.
we're looking at November, December.
Yes, that's when we're anticipated right now to be substantially complete with the East Wall Street streetscape improvements, and we wouldn't want to make any changes to these roadways until the actual infrastructure is installed and it's very intuitive for how drivers need to navigate the street.
So we're looking at possibly 7 months, 6 months from this meeting that this switch in street directions will occur.
Yes, yep. So we wanted to get in front of you now because the project is under construction and we are going to move to the northerly curb within the next few months. The next item that you'll see also, there's some coordination that's required with CTDOT regarding the reconfigured one-way operations and some improvements we can make on the High Street approach to Route 1. So we wanted to ensure that there is adequate time so we could get these enhancements approved and plans for a contractor to complete so that the project takes off successfully.
Okay, I'm not going to discuss what I'm looking at now because that's in our next application.
My apologies for jumping the gun. That's really the rationale. We want to make sure that we complete the process with CTDOT as these roads both touch Route 1.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? Chief, do you have any concerns about what effect this might have on the police department with the changing in these streets, the direction?
No, I think these would be good improvements for that area. I think it'd be good. It's good improvements and it's needed.
Okay. All right. If there are no more questions, no more discussion, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of High and Night Street one-way conversion change.
I will move forward that conversion change for High and North Avenue.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. It is approved. Now we will move to item E, 5E, do not block box at High Street and North Avenue. I need a motion to discuss this.
I move section 5, item E, approve the installation of a do not block the box on North Avenue westbound at High Street.
Okay, Garrett, will you continue the discussion, leading the discussion on this?
Absolutely. Ben, if we could put up the concept. So in doing our due diligence and looking at this in great and exhaustive detail, our proposal for High Street as it approaches Route 1 in the future would be to do a separate left and right turn lane. This is just very similar to what exists on Knight Street today and will remain in the future for that section of the block in front of Hartford Healthcare. But we also wanted to be proactive, and we collected traffic count data. We looked at how people traveled through the area. While there's a much smaller percentage of left turns here, we wanted to make sure that they had a lane that they could comfortably wait and make a decision to merge onto Route 1 during the peak hours without being rushed or for there to be honking, and allow the right turn movement to freely flow more or less after stopping to reduce any delay to the neighborhood. So this approach, what we also looked at in being proactive is to look at do not block the intersection markings. So there's a signal to the west, Camp Street, At times, the queue does extend. I think Commissioner Lopez, was specifically talking about queuing before. This is one proactive improvement we can look at just to make it easier for drivers to egress the street during the peak hours, when sometimes vehicles and drivers just don't realize where they're stopping in relation to an adjacent intersection. So this would be a proposal that needs to move forward through both our ordinance committee to add this intersection to the list of intersections in the city that get this treatment. But then we also have to work closely with the state. But we do think this is a value add, and we want to make sure we're doing everything in advance to make this project as successful as possible.
Okay, are there any questions, commissioners?
So, if I heard you before earlier, you indicated some reference to funding. Am I incorrect or incorrect?
Yes. So the East Wall Street, the block lower between Main and Brook Street, is part of a $2.4 million state funded LOTSIP grant.
So besides the do not block the box there that you referenced, would there be any kind of, whatever, signage, lighting, or just block the box and that's it?
So at this location, the improvements will be limited to really its pavement markings and signage, for which we have a approved capital budget for the Wall Street corridor to do items like this.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Palladino, do you have any questions?
I have no questions, no.
Chief,
Thank
are
you,
there
Commissioner.
any concerns for the police department regarding this change?
I know there are no concerns.
Okay. Now, I notice according to the map that do not block the box is only on the westbound traffic side. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Just that's because of the proximity of the Camp Street intersection. It's not on the eastbound lane just due to the proximity of the next intersection is several hundred feet away, and we don't see queuing impacting that lane across High Street today.
Okay. All right. So if there are no more questions, if everyone
Just
is
to follow
clear.
up to your question, Commissioner, if I may, or if you could help me just understand relating to that eastbound lane, that's where you're not gonna have the box. You said because there's another intersection, but what about traffic? Does that not potentially impede the traffic from making a left from High Street? Potentially?
Yeah, the left turning traffic still has to clear that lane. The reason why the pavement markings aren't proposed on that eastbound travel lane is you have it's over 1,000 feet to the intersection of Park Street, which is the next signal that actually queues traffic. And just because it's so far away, vehicles don't regularly stop in front of High Street, or they won't stop in the future either. It's about 900 feet away from the nearest signal in the eastbound direction. So yes, traffic will still flow there. The do not block the box isn't intended to stop traffic. It's for traffic to stop in advance of a signal when they're queuing.
Does that answer your question, Commissioner Lopez?
In part, when you said when they're queuing with the light, so I understand that, I get it. But is it not also designed in the event that there's congestion, is my point? Even though, yes, you have 100 whatever feet before the next intersection, potentially, is that created, or do the traffic studies suggest otherwise that you've made?
So in all of our time on the street and all the observations we've done and data collected, we just never saw that intersection blocked by eastbound traffic, only really blocked by the westbound traffic. That's a result of queuing at the signal. I would surmise that if, yes, I-95, if there was a terrible accident, there's a potential for all that traffic to move to Route 1, and it might be a very rare and unique circumstance. But we did not see it appropriate to recommend marking there. And we Condot will review this as a third-party agency when we put the request in, and they would also review that with that lens as well. And if they suggested that the markings needed to cover the eastbound travel lane, we would be more than happy to put them in as it's on their roadway.
Okay, thank you.
Now, if we approve this as it's presented to us today, and a third party comes in afterwards and recommends that a do not block the box is needed for the eastbound, will that come back before us?
I would suggest that you could make it conditional because it's not our roadway, it's the state roadway. So conditional on the state's recommendations. And this process actually has to go through not only the state's review process, but also will be presented to the ordinance committee to add this. So we'll have more information to provide at that time. This is really kind of just to start the process and to start our conversation with CTDOT.
Okay. So, and the third party we're talking about is the state, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is the Connecticut Department of Transportation, correct?
Okay. All right. Based upon the discussion, questions that have been asked and answered, I need a motion to approve the proposed traffic pattern changes at High Street and North Avenue.
I move approval for section 5, item E, approve the installation of a do not block the box on North Avenue westbound at High Street.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. It is approved. Our next item for discussion is 5F, Porch Jam 2025. I need a motion to discuss this.
I will put the motion forward for section 5F for the Porch Jam event.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Palladino for discussion, and is Tim Petit available for discussion?
We have Mr. Jeff Ortolano again from the
Okay.
Rowayton Civic Association to speak on his behalf.
All right, thank you.
Hello, commissioners. Thank you again. Am I coming in clear?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Great. So there is a music charitable event that the Rowayton Civic Association is taking over in concert with Jam Studio. 90% of the proceeds go to inner city schools and organizations to help with enrichment, specifically around music and arts. On June 7th, we'll be having an event called Porch Jam. This is where 35 residential homes open up their front of the front of their houses, and they host a band to play music for approximately 45 minutes. So the duration of the event goes from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. As you can see here with this rendering, for safety and traffic and working with the Norwalk Police Department, we are looking for road closures in specific egress areas across parts of Rowayton. As you can see on the left, Zone 1 will be shut down between 12 and 3, probably start a little earlier. And we'll be monitoring traffic and shutting down those roads. And then we have a bit of a break between 2:30 and 3:30. And the same units, police officers and lieutenant, will then move into Zone 2 and shut down traffic in those targeted points of entry in Rowayton as well. We're limiting sales tickets this year. In historic years, Jam Studios did not do that. So we're limiting sales tickets to approximately 2,000. We are supplying porta potties, cleaning service, And there's various other infrastructure activities that we're building out to make sure it's a very safe event. I'll pause.
Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions?
In the packet, I'm not seeing how many attendees are expected?
2,000.
2,000. And has been historically what it has been, or?
Historically, they have averaged, again, this, the Rowayton Civic Association is taking over the event this year. Historically, Jam Studio has averaged 2,500 to 3,000 attendees historically.
Thank you.
Commissioner Palladino?
I have no questions at this time.
Do they use the same houses in the past that they're using this year, or are these different houses
Great
that
question.
are offering?
Great question, Commissioner. I would say 60% of the homes are static that are used year over year. And then there's always new homes and new families that are looking to host. They love the give back and the charity that it stands for.
Mhm. Okay, could you make this map just a little bit larger so I can see? Yes, thank you. That's very helpful. Okay, so the road closures are going to be at Sunwich, and I don't know what that street, I can't see it. There's a name. Crockett.
Yep, most of the entry barriers around Rowton Avenue. Crockett is a big one, and then Crockett and Rowayton Avenue.
And then those barriers will be taken down at 2:30, 3 o'clock,
Yes,
whatever.
Commissioner. Yes,
Okay, and then move them to zone 2.
yes.
Okay. All right. Chief, do you have any issues with this application and these closures for the police department?
No, we discussed both events, the fireworks and the porch jam last week at length. And this is a much better plan from previous years, with the perimeter set up in the 2 different neighborhoods. The RCA has a much better plan from the last permittee in doing this event.
Okay.
So, yeah, it looks good.
All right. Okay, are there any other questions? Anything needs clarifying? Okay, well, all in favor, I need a motion to approve the Porch Jam 2025 as submitted.
I'll move section 5, item F, for the Porsche Jam event.
All right, that has been moved by Commissioner Lopez. All in favor, let it be known by aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Item G,
Thank you,
460. You're welcome. Item G, 467 West Avenue, Piper parking approval. I need a motion to discuss this item. Commissioners, I need a motion to discuss item G.
I'll move item G to approve metered time parking spaces on West Avenue, Orchard, Quincy, and Butler.
Okay, and we have Mr. Bank Handle.
Yeah,
Yes.
perfect.
Okay, to lead our discussion. Thank you.
Hi, Commissioners. So I'm sure as you're all aware, there's a new apartment building going up on the corner of West Ave and Butler Street and Orchard Street. And basically what we're just presenting to you today is that we will be, upon completion of the construction, we'll be putting in our normal metered parking spots on Orchard Street, West Ave, and Butler Street. And then Quincy Street, which is behind the new building, that will be, we're proposing that that's just timed, so that's going to be an unmetered. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, I can answer.
Commissioners, are there any questions?
The only question I have, this is we the same that is throughout the city with the use of the apps. I think it's mobile park or whatever that is. Is that correct?
Yes, it's currently our system is Park Mobile. It's my understanding that we're going to be moving to a new system very soon, but yes, it will be the same as every other metered parking spot in the city.
Thank you.
Commissioner Palladino?
I have no questions.
Are there any issues for the police department regarding this request?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I need motion for approval of the application for the parking at 467 West Avenue.
I will move that forward for the approval of 467 West Avenue building.
Commissioner Palladino has made the motion for approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. It is approved. All right, this completes our new business items. And our next item is for adjournment.
I have one quick go back.
Okay,
We had a letter that was read from the East Nahawk Association.
yes,
I think it got read, but there was no discussion.
it was supposed to have been on the agenda. That's why it wasn't discussed.
Okay, so
Would that had not have been subject to someone being present and there was no one present? That is Diane CC.
okay.
No, that was a question, not a statement.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, in the letter, it asked for time, that it was an item that was that was on the agenda. It is not on the agenda. So it not being on the agenda, we really cannot discuss it
I agree. Correct.
according to the rules. However, the concerns within that letter will be addressed and will be looked at by TMP. And we will, Benjamin or
Yeah.
Garrett, someone who will get back to her on the issues, the bulleted items that she has in that letter. And we need to know what that is before you talk to them.
Thank you, Commissioner Carly Clemens, for the clarification for the record.
Okay,
Yes, thank
all
you.
right. So we are at item number 6 for adjournment, and I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Our next meeting is June, 19th? Where's our
Yes,
next meeting?
16th. June 16th.
June the 16th on Monday. And move for adjournment.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
It has been moved by Commissioner Lopez. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 5:14.
Great job.
Thank you.
Commissioner
Thank you,
Carly.
everybody.